Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I know some of you out there are getting hit with storms right now from the south side, I think, to the north side right here. So hopefully everything is going well for you. Seems like there are going to be quick hitters in and out, which is what you more than occasionally will get with sultry weather like this. But again, soak it all up because soon enough it will be gone and we'll be complaining about the cold and the ice and the snow. So again, just love it. Yes, love it. And it's interesting with this whole debate regarding the Colts quarterback. So this is what I gathered yesterday. And I'm going up there and I talked to Mooney in passing. Grover Stewart and all these guys were over in that tent area where we're staged to do the show, and I'll be back coming up for the joint practice on Thursday. And the thing that occurred to me from all of you that passed by and said hello, which is always just cool as hell, is that I'm surprised that more out there aren't in favor of the best man winning. You're in favor of wanting to see what you have. That's a little bit shocking to me. And I think that also leads to this level of apathy. Now, if you were out there yesterday, I mean, it's hot as hell and people are out there, so you're not going to be able to tell it. But being around here as long as I have and doing this show as long as I have, whether it's here or another station, I can absolutely tell. It's just not the same right now. And it's not going to be the same until you get a whiff of what you're dealing with coming up in week number 1 and certainly week number 2. That is going to be 2 incredibly solid tests that will either place you in the category of, oh, okay, there is something going here, there may be something brewing, or will even further chase you away. Because there are 2 like teams, 2 teams that should be, or at least could be in the mix a year ago for a postseason berth. And you know what happened in Denver? You look at the Dolphins and you always kind of wonder, all right, if you get any defense, especially in a banged up and a decimated secondary, and you get some health from Tua, quarterback situationally speaking, they also down there are hoping for some consistency and availability from their quarterback. But it does kind of surprise me that most people would rather see what you have in Richardson than this whole quarterback competition being to the best man wins. And I've been skeptical about this basically the entire way. And yesterday, Rick Venturi and I had this conversation, and I'm sure we'll have it again coming up on Saturday in the Colts pregame huddle. Rick said, you don't bring in a guy like Daniel Jones and paying, $14 million not to have a true competition. And while that is tough to argue, I think that is the least of your concerns. I mean, $14 million to me for a quarterback, especially around here now, that can give you anything whatsoever. And then I think with what the Colts want, they want a little pushing and a little prodding. I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to start. I never thought that Daniel Jones was going to start in week number 1, but I do understand why you bring somebody in and go, hey, you know what? If you don't start doing what you're supposed to do, if you don't have availability, I mean, it's more than just an insurance policy. It's more than that. And I know it is also tough to buy him because of his past with the New York Giants. All this makes sense. But it is a little bit surprising that most just want to see Richardson. Now, I've said this before, and I deem this to be accurate. This is my gauge and my gauge only. There's been no straw poll taken, no vote. I've not done a research study. But what I have noticed that generationally speaking, the younger Colts fans all want to see what they have and what they believe to be an incredible video game talented star. And the old guard, like me and others, where you've seen real quarterbacks and real greatness, you've seen it. You've been around it. You've lived through it. Think this is all phony baloney. All right, this is not going to be it. None of this is it. And it hasn't been it for a long time. It hasn't been it. And really, it wasn't, it was a failing it even when Andrew Luck was still here. Because he was still here, but also thinking about how ultimately he really didn't want to be doing what he was doing, right? But even before that. So we've all seen around here what it really is like. And this isn't it. But this is the position that you're in. This is the position that your general manager has been in for a while. Your head coach going into year number 3 is in. And now this organization, without the late Jim Irsay, moves forward with, we'll see, a different set of circumstances if the results aren't met favorably, I'm assuming. So would it be best, you think, for the Colts and those with their gigs on the line right now? Somebody had said, I forget who this was, and I'm not calling them out, I'm just making a point of this. If Daniel Jones starts in week number 1, if you deem him worthy and the better player right here, then you have to get rid of absolutely everybody because that's a bad decision. See, I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. I think we kind of know what we know about everybody right now and know that anything you can squeeze out of this to make people feel good, I think people can, for the moment, be on board with. But I think long-term, we kind of understand that for lack of a better and a quality and a grammatically correct speech, this ain't it. This ain't it. And it would take a lot. It's funny, like, make the comparison here. It would take a lot, and I've said this all along, it would take a lot, I think, for Daniel Jones to unseat Anthony Richardson. And again, this was a great conversation. I would love you to go back and listen to Rick Venturi and I, and then Stephen Holder was a part of it yesterday too, having this conversation, because really it is 3 absolutely different opinions. Rick likes Daniel Jones and thinks Daniel Jones is the guy for the gig right now. And he believes in the quarterback competition, and you guys should all believe him because that guy has been there and done that. I lean on him for absolutely everything. But I am going to stick with my opinion that it's been a foregone conclusion that you're going to see if he is healthy, 5 out there playing until either the ineffectiveness, the inefficiency, or the injuries pop back up, and then you're going to see Daniel Jones. They brought Daniel Jones in, for me, not so much as competition, but for, well, you got to have somebody else. Here's your insurance policy. Knowing that at some point you're going to be utilizing that insurance policy. But, yeah, check that out. There is a generational gap with all of this in mind that is pretty damn interesting to me. We'll have the discussion over the course of the afternoon. I'm sure this discussion is not going to go away, and I warned everybody out there that this is absolutely going to wear you out, but I also understand that you have been worn out in a similar capacity with other stories kind of in the same realm of this one in recent history. So it's almost like this is what you're used to. Remember when you were used to, I don't know if they're going to win 12 or 13 games this season. And now you're used to just constant quarterback debate and whether or not Joe Flacco is the guy. Seriously. That's what you know right now. One of these days, hopefully, they're out of that. But that is where we're living right now, and we're not going to go anywhere until further notice. I do like talking to Mooney yesterday. I am very interested. I don't know when's the last time I said, hey, I can't wait to see this Colts secondary. I know it's dinged up right now with a barrage of injuries, but you got two guys that came in via free agency where they hope that they help a great deal in Ward and in Bynum, and hopefully they can help a great deal. I also think that whomever is going to be the starting quarterback in week number 1 is going to benefit, again, handsomely from Jonathan Taylor. And I think you're also going to benefit from having a much better wide receiving core. And if what we have seen from the rookie tight end so far translates to the regular season, there is no doubt you're going to dig that too in Tyler Warren. Now, granted, yesterday, and I explained this to you, I get about a 20-yard window where I sit to watch practice as it's going on as I'm talking to you. But those guys are all the playmakers so far. And I think it's a good thing that there's been really not much said about an offensive line that is going through somewhat of a transition of its own. Yeah, Ryan Kelly has been there absolutely forever. And now Tanner Bortolini's going in. I'm assuming Tanner Bortolini is going to be the guy as the starter at center. Everybody started to like Will Fries a great deal, and so did a lot of other teams and general managers and player personnel directors around the NFL. So he ended up going. So you had to replenish at center and right guard. And you look at Bortolini, you look at Gonzalez, and I will say it's tough to get around the quarterback debate and the constant quarterback conversation that you have to have with this group. But I think it's always a good thing with the offensive line is when you don't say too much about them. You feel solid with Ryman. You feel solid with Nelson. And obviously the return this season of Braden Smith, and there has been really little to nothing said on the right side interior, speaking of that offensive line. That is a damn good thing. You kind of put that in the same light. Now, edge rushing's different. But you put that in the same light along the defensive line where you rarely hear anything at all regarding Buckner and Stewart. Just kind of keep moving forward. That's a good thing, too. It's funny. You only want to hear, if you hear good things or if you hear nothing, that's exactly the type of dialogue you hope for out of a training camp. Now, some of the good things that you hear, especially from those players that are unestablished, oftentimes we're talking about a lot of things right now, like Hunter Wohler, for example. I'm assuming that because of the injury situation, maybe you're going to get some time coming up, certainly this weekend you will, in preseason game 2 against the Packers, and then in the joint practice coming up on Thursday at Grant Park. But you kind of wonder, those are names you wonder just how much will be talked about once the regular season is officially underway. That is always the case. There are names, there's conversations that we have that we value and think are so important at this moment in training camp, and then when the regular season is officially underway, absolutely disappear. We know Jordan Love suffered an injury during Saturday's preseason opener against the Jets. He is going to undergo a procedure. And, of course, the Packers have that joint practice against the Colts coming up on Thursday. And then the game coming up on Saturday. The plan is going to be preseason was Love and some of the starters to practice, but not to play in the game against the Colts, and then playing the preseason finale against the Seahawks August the 23rd. But Love is dealing with that, so yeah, there wasn't many expectation here anyway. But I know there are a lot of Packer fans out there that are going to go down regardless and check it out coming up either on Saturday or during the joint practice. And Colts fans are all too familiar with the backup name that got them when it really matters a year ago in the regular season, and that is one Malik Willis. I believe Sean Clifford's also a part of this roster, is he not? Get more into that later on this week. We'll be out at that joint practice coming up on Thursday at Westfield, and should be a good time. Actually, the final time in Westfield at Grant Park coming up on Thursday, and again, we shall be there for that. I believe it's 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning, too. That is the Colts pregame huddle, as we're going to be downtown in Touchdown Town, taking you up to the Colts countdown and countdown to kickoff, I should say, and fire up and get going. Should be one hellaciously awesome weekend for you. All kind of a precursor. I know a lot of you are trying to still get that weekend summertime fun going. Yeah, where has it gone? This has been, I saw Rob Lynch yesterday. Used to, but long-time camera dude, sports-wise, for Channel 13 WTHR. Friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, good friend of Jake Query's as well. But I saw him walking out yesterday at Grand Park in Westfield, and he said, I remember back in 2000 when the Pacers went 6 games of the NBA Finals and then lost to the Lakers, how there was basically zero transition. You went from one thing to the other, and there was no summer. This is even more so. Think about that for a moment. Think about the end, all the way until the end of June. Then you have the draft. Then you have summer league, and you have free agency. There has been little to no summer without major stories. And then obviously with the Caitlin Clark injury, that's probably taken away the type of dialogue that a lot expected that we're going to have. Because face it, it's not the same. You hope for the best, but it's not the same. You hope for the best, and you give them credit because they are above 500, and you talk about a squad that is dinged up beyond belief. That would be the Fever. But there has been literally no rest. I remember back in the day when you used to have, it was the end of the Pacer season, the NFL draft, and on all of May, you're talking about racing, and there is so much stuff that you're not having conversations about. I don't know about anybody else here. I still find myself looking up highlights of the Pacer postseason run. I can't watch that shot from Halliburton that bounces straight up and then down and goes in against the Knicks to tie it up. I can't watch that enough. It is just incredible. I mean, all those moments, all those last-second shots. And even with the injury to Halliburton, even with the defection of Miles Turner, I don't give a damn. That was so awesome. Those are always going to be great memories. And then we learned today that the opener for the Pacers will be against OKC. Now, OKC is already going to have one in the books. I mean, hell, the Pacers are probably going to be, feudally speaking, very seldom on prime time because of their injury situation and the non-believers out there, and I am not one. I listen, I so much want to see the Colts, especially for you hardcore fans out there, give you something, a sense of pride that you rediscovered in this Pacer season this past year. I so much want that for you. Because you have been there, you have followed it, you have listened to us, you have gone to live shows, you've utilized your disposable income on tickets and bought stuff at the game and got yourself some gear, and you've been repaid in absolutely jack squat. Nothing. Zero. Crap. Mediocrity. The mediocre performance. I so much want to see that change because I saw how you responded in the past 2 years, especially when the Pacers changed, when the Pacers reestablished that pride. And now you got a taste of it and you want it. And that's also how I feel about the Pacers this year. And it's not even so much wanting to relive that because I know it's not going to be at that level. But I so much want to, I mean, really more so than Miles in the past, more so than moments where I could sit here and say, hey, I told you so. I so want to gloat after this Pacer season. And after everybody, and I mean everybody, has written them off. Anybody else with me on that? That's what I'm hoping for. It's fine. I can't get to this Pacer season quick enough. I want to be able to gloat. Now, they may end up letting me down. You know, maybe I'm going to be inaccurate about my assessment of this team without its star and the way that it's going to look player personnel-wise this season. But I'm telling you, you are going to get – this is like going to be a rocket launch to Mars. It's going to be an all-time gloat, and it's going to be on everybody's ass. And I can't wait. That's my hope. So we got a lot of things to hope for. And I'm with you there, Colts fans, on wanting to see something special finally for such a long time because you have a taste. But I got that taste with the Pacers as well. And then that was reestablished when I saw they open up with OKC. And I so want this group to prove everybody wrong. Like a McConnell rocket ship to Mars is what I want to see. It's beautiful. Hopefully we have that. All right, the storylines of the day we'll get to. 239-1070 is the number. 317-239-1070 is the new text. I'm still in the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live right now, right? You guys are rocking my Christopher Cross shirt. If you guys want me to sing something from Christopher Cross, I will a little bit later on from last week. Shout out to Be Near for this. This actually came from, not from Ruoff, but from River Bend in Cincinnati. Good show nonetheless. So AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. You can send some text. How many? Did we have a lot sent yesterday, James, on my behalf?
We had a lot.
Job. I love it. 317-239-1070. Because as you probably will note, you've yet to sign up for it. James will get it. And then James will transfer your love of me to me. Thank you very much. Braden Dietrich is shadowing today. He's from Center Grove High School as a senior, and he is my neighbor learning absolutely nothing. So a shout-out to Coach Stuck, who sent him here. And Stuckmeyer knows he's probably going to learn very little from me, what he's listening to right now. But otherwise, with James and with Nathaniel, he's going to get a lot of ownership of learning on this shadow day that he's got going on here today. Greg Rakestraw coming up on the other side. Bria Goss, Fever analyst, going to join us coming up a little bit later on. And Mike Sando, what general managers, coaches, coordinators, and the like are saying about all the quarterback situations around the NFL, including what they're saying, and you're not going to dig it, about the Colts quarterback situation. That and more. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live and 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Just a minute. Did anybody knock anymore?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, tomorrow, the Indiana State Fair. I'm going to follow our next guest. We shall explain in a second. Colts camp for a final time on Thursday, the joint practice. That always makes me laugh when we say joint practice. I got a lot of joint practice at Indiana State back in the 90s. The joint practice in Westfield at Grand Park with the Packers. I'll be there live beginning at 3 coming up on Thursday. Thank you all for joining us. Robbie B says, I thought I saw you at Nordstrom the other day, but wasn't 100% sure, but I think it might have been you. Congrats on the weight loss, looking healthy. If it wasn't you, disregard. Now, if you were talking about Goodwill, that might have been me. I don't know about Nordstrom. I did go into Whole Foods last week. I think that was on the north side. Is that near Nordstrom, Whole Foods? Not really. I think Whole Foods is in Nora. Nordstrom's, I think, Keystone at the Crossing.
I don't shop at Whole Foods.
You may have seen me in Goodwill, Robbie. I do shakedowns of all the Goodwills around here, buddy. Let me tell you that. Because I went from being able to fit to fitting really well to not being able to wear anything in basically the past 3 decades. But thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I'm going to follow him. He's in for Jake Query tomorrow out at the Indiana State Fair. He's our good friend Greg Rakestraw. You excited?
Of course I am. I always like being your warm-up act.
Love that. So, we're doing a little horse racing, I think, tomorrow, right?
Apparently so. I've been a little busy so far this month, doing NFL games and stuff like that.
And going to Iceland and things. Yes.
That too, yes. And obviously calling your show and being a featured guest while, still abroad.
Right.
I know that I have got like a War and Peace level of notes from John Griffin on the remote tomorrow. Haven't exactly read them yet, so I'll bone up between now and then.
Well, let me tell you this. You're not exactly in the club yet until you get a voice message from him, a voice-to-text message. That's when you know you're legit, brother. Let me tell you.
You remember that we worked hand-in-hand for a long time in that building, and despite his idiosyncrasies, Griff's one of my favorite people. So happy to pinch hit for Jake and be, they rarely let me out of the cage when I'm substitute teaching, so going to enjoy my day at the State Fair. I'll have deep fried something to celebrate.
Greg was out there yesterday as well at Colts camp for that practice, and I'm curious if you've noted this, and maybe I'm the only one, which is, I think, fair to say, that younger generationally speaking, everybody is all in on Anthony Richardson and wanting him to start. The older generation like us seems to all be on the side of Daniel Jones. There seems to be, I think, a canyon of divide as far as the age groups are concerned about the quarterback of the Colts. Is that something you've noticed at all?
I'm not sure if I have noticed that as much. I know that I have gone back and forth a couple of times. Right now, I am probably leaning more towards Anthony Richardson, and that is not because of anything in particular I think Jones has done wrong, but I also don't think he has showcased enough or has been so different than Anthony Richardson. My thought has always been, if it is a tie, it is going to be Anthony Richardson, and I kind of think that's where it is right now. I do think there are things about AR that have been better. Clearly, blitz pickup on one specific play last Thursday was one of them. The more I have seen of Daniel Jones, the more I kind of see of Gardner Minshew a couple of years ago, which did lead to 9 wins. I think his running ability is superior to Gardner, so I think you can be successful, but I frankly have not seen enough of a difference yet where I think I would turn the keys over to Daniel Jones. There's still I think this competition goes for at least a week and a half longer. I don't think there's a starter that gets announced next week. I think it's after the Bengals game that we learn who the next starting quarterback of the Colts is going to be.
So Greg Rakeshaw's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, going to be in the booth coming up on Saturday night, too. And we'll talk about that, you and Rick Venturi and your special guests coming up in just a minute for that Packer game. But my thing is, that's why I've always kind of thought, all right, quarterback competition, whatever. I just don't think that there is even close to a legitimate enough opportunity for Richardson to be overtaken, given the circumstances of the preseason here. I don't think there is. I think that plays as a part of the dynamic as well, and why, I haven't always thought that this was going to be, I guess to not legitimize this quarterback competition may be completely wrong by me, but I think all along we've kind of known who is going to be the starter, and that's who it's going to be in Richardson in week number 1. I just don't think there's enough opportunities for Daniel Jones to overtake Richardson here.
I would disagree with you on that, because having been out there, and not for every practice, but for a lot of them, I can tell you it has been legitimately split in terms of time with the ones and time with the twos between the two quarterbacks. Am I like, Kevin Bowen, Jake Arthur in the old days, George Bremer, et cetera, about charting every rep? No. But I think they have been given equal opportunity and similar playbooks. It's not like they're running one set of plays for one guy and one set of plays for another. Again, I'm not sure I have seen enough of Daniel Jones or him do things so drastically differently that I'm ready to say, all right, you're going to get the football to start the year. And the other thing that frankly we have to kind of be ready for, and Thursday night was a reminder of it, that whomever wins the quarterback competition, the other guy probably ought to get ready, because we haven't had any sort of proof, and frankly you wouldn't in the preseason, in terms of the durability of Anthony Richardson. So if Anthony wins the job for week 1, what's to say that Daniel Jones isn't playing by the end of that game or the next game or the game after that, et cetera? So I do believe in the legitimacy of the competition. I just don't think I have seen enough from the guy now wearing number 17 that he's going to overtake the guy wearing number 5.
It's Greg Rakestraw. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Normally, he's the post-game show host. He's got the duties in the booth with Rick Venturi coming up on Saturday afternoon. And you get a little Colts ownership up there with you, I guess, right?
Correct. So Carly is going to join us during the third period of the game. So Carly will join us for an extended conversation during quarter number 3.
Good to see that live on there,
yes,
too. I mean, I like that. It's hard enough to move forward without Jim Irsay, because he was just the most significant piece of everything, and really so many other things other than just the game of football around here. But I always felt that the fans really enjoyed getting that content from ownership, and I'm glad to see that that's going to continue.
And you nailed it. It is, we on that broadcast are the conduit to the fans. And so for the fan base, and Lord knows everybody in the media turns up the monitors in the press box for the third quarter of home game 1 or home game 2, or in this case, the only home game of the preseason. But this is a great chance for the fans to hear from ownership herself as to, hey, this is how I feel about the franchise. This is where I feel about the direction. And obviously, there's other things from a personal standpoint, just going, hey, you just lost your dad. How are you doing? How are you coping with this? This is a monumental shift in what you kind of have to do to have the stewardship over the franchise. So honestly, we could carry this conversation a lot longer than a quarter. We'll be limited by that amount of time, but I don't think it'll be a brief chat. We're planning on having her for a good chunk of the quarter.
Greg, has this offensive line performed as well or even better so far in camp as we thought, given the right side of the interior, center, right guard, and that particular exodus? Are we pretty happy where things are with that group right now?
I'm not sure, and honestly, I'm not sure that we'll have maybe we'll get more of a full appreciation for that on Saturday. I don't know if Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, Bernard Ryman get a free pass. If Shane Steichen holds true to what he said on Sunday and starters will play about a quarter, I would assume that means everybody along the offensive line, and I can give you kind of a better version of that, because I'm still not sure whether this penetration in the backfield from the defensive line bodes well for our defensive line or doesn't bode well for our offensive line. So I'm not sure I've got a quality answer for you on that yet. I might have a better answer come late Saturday afternoon.
All right. Part of the issue right now is, and at the beginning of camp, everybody was really excited about what they had witnessed in that secondary, but now it is dinged up beyond belief. But with that in mind, the two major free agent acquisitions we saw with Ward and Bonham, what's been your impression so far during camp?
Well, so far, again, the fact that this secondary has depth, and you're right. Jonathan Edwards is getting reps with the ones. He's an undrafted free agent out of Tulane. Chris Lamons wasn't on the team as of about 10 days ago. Obviously, he's been around the last couple of years. He's getting some time with the ones. Nick Cross being nicked up is a little concerning given the fact that he was, so good last year after really almost kind of taking 2 years to learn the league, being so young when he was drafted out of Maryland. So are we seeing a lot in terms of playmaking and practice from both, Ward and Bynum at this point? Not really. But at the same time, again, so much of even more so on defense, because you're not going to run these exotic schemes in practices in front of fans in preseason games, for other teams to get stuff on film. On defense, the proof is going to be in the pudding on September the 7th. But just the fact that they made that level of investment, and, now you really have, again, if everybody's healthy, 5 guys that have experience playing cornerback for you or elsewhere in the National Football League, or obviously a third-round pick, which that investment won't bear fruit now until next year because of the injury to Justin Wally last Tuesday. I think it's almost more of a numbers game and a quality investment game that you feel pretty confident will pay off and be an improvement over what we had here a year ago.
He is Greg Rakestraw. Before I let you go, on the doorstep of a high school football campaign not too far away, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll quickly shift gears. I'll have one more NFL game next Saturday afternoon, but a lot of next week is going to be paired getting ready for the high school football season. So we're back on TV 23 for a 7th consecutive year. Lawrence Central and Lawrence North is my first game of about 16 I'll have during the course of this high school football season.
Well done. That is on the way. Hey, by the way, too, for those asking, because a storm did sweep through initially about an hour ago, gates at the state fairgrounds were temporarily closed. They are back open now. For anybody that would want to know, I think they were closed by, 15 or so minutes when the storm went through. But they are back open, and they'll be open tomorrow for Greg Rakestraw, noon until 3, and me, 3 until 6 at the Indiana State Fair. A little horse racing for us tomorrow for 6 hours, Greg.
That's good. I'm actually heading down Keystone as we speak. I was going to pick up my son from school at 4, but screw it. I'll just keep going down to 42nd Street, use the media pass, get me a funnel cake, and enjoy the rest of my day. Thank you for the suggestion.
Well done. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Bria Goss of the radio network for the Fever, and Dallas coming up later on tonight. That's downtown at the Field House. And we'll get Mike Sando, who did a poll of many general managers, I think some coaches, some coordinators, about quarterbacks around the NFL, and it was, and how's it going to be? What is there good to say? What would you expect to be said? Well, what you expect to be said probably is what you're going to hear described by Mike from The Athletic, who joins us coming up a little bit later on this afternoon at 5:30. Otherwise, 239-1070. You can jump on board. We have time to talk with you. You can send us a text message at that same number, 317-239-1070, although James says he would like you to leave your name. So if you're going to call me a bunch of blankety-blank stuff, which is cool as hell, I don't mind at all, it'd be great. I'd love to be able to name you. I'd love to say, hey, this is George in Southport that thinks I'm the biggest horse's ass of all time. Whatever. It's great. Send it. 317-239-1070. Also inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. We are more than a dual threat with content on this Tuesday. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
It takes him a second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Greg Rakestraw, podcast 1075thefan.com. Mooney from the Colts secondary yesterday. Jamie Little of Fox. Lara. Who else was on the show yesterday? Alexa Ross, Casey Valier. John Nolan on the show yesterday. Podcast all the way around 1075thefan.com. 317-239-1070 is a way you can text the show. And I can see your crap. I can see your crap at JMV at 1075thefan.com as well. We just have many different ways now where I can see your crap. Because there are so many different ways where you can hear my crap. So it's kind of give and a take of our crap together on this show, which is special. Mike in Brooklyn is at 239-1070. Speaking of greatness and special and calls and texts and such, how you doing, man?
What's up, James?
Good to hear from you.
Listen, so much for turning over, a new leaf on a new season, and I guess I got a slightly different perspective on this than everybody else. Forgetting about the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones part of it, which we all know. To me, this is a Shane Steichen thing when I'm watching this game. This is a head coach who is only interested in being an offensive coordinator. He wants to run his offense, regardless of the fact that he doesn't have the quarterback to run these ingenious, complex offensive schemes that he wants to implement. And Daniel Jones is only slightly better because he has more experience. When Daniel Jones was with the Giants, Brian Daboll, the year that he had success in 22, basically Brian Daboll told him, you got one read. If it's not there, run. So the only shot that the Colts have is if he runs a college-style offense. I mean, that's where they have to be with this offense. I don't understand what it's going to take, for this guy to comprehend this. It's just like he just is only interested in being an offensive coordinator. That's it. He just wants to run his offense and say, hey, you shouldn't have an empty set in any games that the Colts play. He cannot do it. He does not have the instinct. He does not have the feel for the position. He can't read defenses. He can't slide protections. He's not going to be able to do it, maybe ever, but he's definitely not capable of doing it now. What's it going to take for this guy to finally face reality? That's what a head coach does. You put the players, you do what your players do well, and you cover up what they don't do well. Trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with Anthony Richardson is just never going to work.
Yeah, and I listen, I know that you're looking for them to exhaust all measures. I just don't think that those are levels in which, and they probably tell you, well, we do this and implement that, but I don't think what you describe right there, that is to a level that we're ever going to see.
Yeah, probably not, unfortunately, and we're going to have more of the same of a head coach who, nobody manages the game. Nobody step back. Let Jim Bob Cooter. If I was Carly, I would have went down to Steichen's office and I would have said, I need you to be a head coach. And the thing that we've been talking about for so long, that's beating a dead horse to the ground, give up the play calling and just focus in on being a head coach. The game situation, game management, because you're not a very good head coach.
You know what's funny? That whole conversation of being overwhelmed went away after the rookie season, didn't it? But that doesn't mean that it went away, but the conversation went away in year two.
Yeah, not in my mind.
No, I know it. I know you brought this up before, but I'm just saying, like, there was a groundswell, if you remember back, end of year number one, and then it kind of went away in year number two, I think, at least from those around here.
I would never. I learned my lesson. I would never, go against you and Mike Chappell again because I did that. I thought Steichen was and Ballard were gone after the year. You said nope, status quo. I thought they were going to bring in Justin Fields. You said nope, Daniel Jones. You were right. So I'm going to say that I'm going with you as far as Anthony Richardson being the guy on day one. But I'm thinking that I'm not a Daniel Jones guy by any means. But I'm thinking the way they're thinking is that maybe Daniel Jones is going to be that guy they're going to be able to at least rely on him.
Well,
Anthony Richardson, doesn't have he doesn't even have the baseline fundamentals. You can't be a 50% passer.
And I think, hey, Mike, I got to run here at top of the hour. Call again soon, man. I always love having you on. I think that there is motivation in year number 3 to bring a guy like Daniel Jones in, but I think ultimately it's just, hey, making sure you have somebody there because you know what ultimately is going to happen. But I just thought all along the signs were on Richardson to start, and that hasn't changed, in my opinion, where we are right now. Quick break, we'll come back. Bria Goss on the other side, Mike Sando of The Athletic coming up. And great news from all of us that loved the original NFL Today. Explain that and more coming up after 4. Don't go anywhere.
Ride with JMV.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Mike Sando of The Athletic has, throughout the NFL, gone to coaches, coordinators, executives, and asked about various quarterbacks. Can you imagine what has been said and how the Colts situation has been described? Mike has that for us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. By the way, nothing but the 90s this weekend of the JMV takeover. Did you just dig out that one-hit wonder of Mark Morrison right there?
Oh, yeah, just random Spotify playlist.
I think if you were going to pick out in the one-hit wonder of the 90s would be what? Tub Thumping? Chumbawamba, probably?
That's probably a good guess, yeah.
That would be in the top 5 of 90s one-hit wonders right there. And probably the most requested, because that's not, like, people will say, if you play Tub Thumping, then I'll never get it out of my head for like a week. You play that, and I think it kind of flows a little bit, then you get out of it, and then it still sounds fresh. That makes sense.
I would say that's a better choice than Tub Thumping.
Yeah. Mike Sando of The Athletic coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Greg Rakestraw a little bit earlier. State Fair with us coming up tomorrow. I shall explain. And then the joint practice with the Packers and the Colts coming up on Thursday at Westfield Grand Park. I will be there as a part of it, and we'll look for you there coming up on Thursday. Shall be fun. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, tonight, 7:30, 7:15 with Eddie Garrison right here. That will lead into John Nolan and our guest, the analyst on the Fever Radio Network, the former Miss Basketball in the state of Indiana, the pride of Ben Davis High School, the most decorated athlete ever at Ben Davis High School, Bria Goss, joins us now. Hello, Bria. How are you?
Wow, what an introduction.
How about
Thank you so much.
I practiced that. I practiced that in the mirror for like an hour before the show.
That was fantastic. Thank you. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so have you ever seen anything like this with a team? You've been around team sports all your life with just the amount of injuries, most injuries are going to be impactful. But I don't know if you could have been more impactful than we have seen, especially with one particular position. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Not all in one position like this. This has been a series of unfortunate, events, one thing right after the other. In high school, my junior season, we had 2 starters who went out with ACL tears within 48 hours of each other. So that was about as crazy as it got. And then we went on to, win the championship. So who knows what has in store, but unfortunately, these are the circumstances, and we just have to find a way to get things done. And it's well within our grasp. Sometimes when injuries happen, teams tend to rise to the occasion and become closer and just kind of use that as a cohesive engagement to keep on going and playing hard for each other. So who knows,
Are you surprised? I mean, how impressed are you that their record is what it is, given the injury circumstances of this group?
I'm not surprised. I'm very excited, but I'm not surprised. The simple fact being, we're deep. I think the whole staff that was associated with the Fever did a really good job putting a team together this year. And so, it was a bit of a slow start at the beginning, and then we, of course, hit the adversity, but we have players that are ready to step into the challenge. And so that's exactly what's been happening. And with the high-level IQ of these players and the multiple positions that can score at a high volume, it's just, again, not surprising, but I am really excited that we're in the position that we're at. And it's actually scary because if we were full throttle, what position would we be in if that was the case? So really excited with where we're at, though.
Bria Goss of the Fever Radio Network later on tonight, 7:30 is that tip time. Again, 7:15. Coverage with Eddie Garrison right here tonight on the Fan. See, you knew that the Sidney Colson thing was bad. I didn't know about the Ari McDonald thing until the latter stages. However, I thought Kelsey Mitchell kind of thrown into those circumstances on Saturday night. Not only did she still high volume score it, as they absolutely need, she, I thought, distributed the ball in a fact in which they needed on that particular night against Chicago. I was really impressed with her overall game and, passing the basketball, getting things set up for everybody else is not always something we describe her as being.
Facts. No, you hit it right on the nail. I mean, with Sid and Ari both going out, Coach Steph White talked about how it did need to be a total team effort, and everyone needed to kind of adjust pretty quickly. The thing about Kelsey Mitchell, we know that she's been a bucket. She's been a bucket since Ohio State, and coming into the league, she's been a bucket. Her passing ability has slowly, gradually just gotten so much better. And not to say that she couldn't pass at the beginning of her career, but you just saw those numbers going up every single year. And then so when she has breakout games like this, especially when it's highlighted that the point guard position is out, she's been a point guard for a large majority, actually, of her time with the Fever. They had her running the one. So it's not, unfamiliar territory. But the thing about Kelsey Mitchell that really sets her apart is no matter what's going on with Kelsey Mitchell, it never affects her game. It never, with all the outside noise or the underappreciation or, her father passed right before the season last year. Her mother was really sick at one point. Like, there were so many things going on, but you could never tell because she's so level-headed and she works extremely hard and she tries to perfect her craft. And so I always try to give flowers to Kelsey Mitchell for the simple fact being she's one of those people where you got to check on your quiet friends, because she's always ready to check on you, knowing good and well there's many fires around her, but it never affects her job. So I can see her continuing to excel, especially in this season, as she just became the league's leading scorer. She has the most points in the league right now, and being a part of MVP conversation. So huge, huge shout out to her as she continues to perfect her game, and we're just going to continue to support her and see what she can do against Dallas tonight.
How impressive has Natasha Howard been for you this season? Because you kind of wonder, I think, Bria, what might have been if she's not here, because she has added so much, and I mean done it in a consistent fashion.
Yeah. It's not always, who fills up the stat sheet the most, right? She has the ability to, which is great because that just adds on to the strength. But what she brings as just a vet in this league and a person who's been a part of, championship style teams and knows what it takes and is coachable and is taking, some of these rookies under her wing. Like, she knows what it takes to get it done. And I think she's doing her part day in and day out. So she's been very impressive. I know there was a lot of talk about, the DeWanna Bonners and re-signing Kelsey and, Sophie coming to the team, and having Howard was kind of on the bottom of everybody's list, or they just weren't talking about as much. And she's out here, being an MVP of the Cup championship and just blowing everybody away. She's so consistent in what she does. So we're super excited to have her, and we love the things that she can do, not only on the court, but off the court as well.
I'm considering, Bria, you've never been in a slump offensively in your life, but let's just say maybe
never ever.
Maybe just the circumstances did align for that one period of time. And, it's what Lexi Hall has been going through. How'd you get yourself out of it, and did we see her shoot herself out of that on Saturday evening?
So when I was in a slump, I would tend to overthink, okay, what are my mechanics? What's my footwork look like? Am I getting to my spot? Am I timing it right? And that was messing with me even more. And so the confidence started to waver. So when you go through those shooting slumps, you just have to remember all the work that you have put in to put yourself in this position. Got to kind of hype yourself up in a sense of, hey, I'm elite. Like, I'm good. Look into the mirror, and give you some affirmations, or, be around your team who's always supporting you, or whatever the case may be. But you can't let the confidence waver during those shooting slumps. And Lexi Hall, who went on a very short shooting slump there, came back and just blew the roof off, didn't she? She's so fun to watch, and just kind of seeing, how her game has excelled, since her rookie season has been amazing. So she's going to continue to get better, and she has great people around her that believes in her and pushes her. So she's going to be just fine.
All right. So matchup tonight against Dallas against 7:30. The coverage begins. A little bit of a stretch run, and hopefully we don't know the circumstances, but hopefully Caitlin Clark is back at some point, and we're impressed with the way the Fever have still been able to win at the level in which they have so far. Got to keep that up. What do you do against Dallas later on tonight?
Well, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, and it's even harder to beat a team 4 times, in each season. So it's going to be a difficult matchup, but well within their ranks. I think rebounding and the rebounding battle need to be there. We got to win that boards battle. We need to put a lot of pressure, of course, on their guard play, which are, phenomenal. And then they can't really stop us in the post. So let's see if we can win the paint battle as well, and see if we can just have more points in the paint than they do, and really, honestly, finish each quarter. So you do those, just keep the main thing, and keep the game simple. Then this should be a pretty easy win for them.
Yeah, 7:30 tonight. 8-24 Dallas. It has been a struggle. 18-14. That is the Indiana Fever as they continue to hang in. And Odyssey Sims, player-wise, what do you think about that? Hardship acquisition that they went out and put together for the team for the obvious reasons of the injury concerns.
Yeah, she's going to be a good addition, as well. She's been around the league for years. I had the pleasure of playing against her in college. We beat them once, actually, and she beat me twice. So we played once when she was with Brittany Griner, and we got blown out. And then we played them. It was a specialty game. Our men's team and their men's team played right after, so that was fun. It was a 4 overtime game. So it was extremely tiring, but the grit and the enthusiasm and the passion that she plays with plays right into what the Fever team need. She's a downhill attack type of player. She knows how to find people, especially in transition. But she is gritty and spicy and tough. And so that's the type of things that we need from a point guard. And like I said, it fits in so well with this team as we have so many players just like that. So really, really excited to see that. I know there will be some growing pains. Okay, so it's not like if they're going to have it all together tonight. We're going to see some flashes of some really good basketball, and we might see some flashes of some not so great basketball. But that's just a part of the process as we, continue to play throughout the season. But give them time. I think it's going to be really, really beneficial for us.
That is Bria Goss. You can hear her, John Nolan and Eddie Garrison, a part of the Fever broadcast later on tonight. 7:15 pregame coverage, 7:30 tip time at the Fieldhouse versus Dallas, and Bria's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Always a pleasure. We shall do it again soon. Have a great broadcast tonight, Bria.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Talk to you soon.
Bria Goss on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I should mention, too, Friday at home against Washington, and then Sunday on the road against Connecticut. And then they got a little bit of a time off. I should say Sunday to Friday, they go Minnesota in a home-and-home, Friday and Sunday in over a week. So they have 3 games, including tonight, through Sunday, and then are off until Friday, August the 22nd. So we shall see what happens with Caitlin Clark right there. Anything whatsoever. Should be interesting to watch. All right, I know oftentimes, because I come off sounding incredibly old and decrepit, and, you won it back in the day, and, your time was better, and, you're an old guy, 55. But I think this is absolutely etched in stone. When you're looking back at the greatest NFL pregame shows of all time, is there anything that even is a close challenger to the old NFL today? I mean, anything whatsoever. Am I wrong about this? And I know that I may be talking to a generation that has little idea of what CBS and the NFL today, or you are looking live at Soldier Field in Chicago. You are looking live at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. You are looking live at the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. I could go on and on and on. You are looking live at the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. Brent Musburger and the NFL today, and that group, whether we're talking about Irv Cross, Jimmy the Greek, Phyllis George, Jane Kennedy, who I had just an absolute massive crush on, like anybody else. The greatest NFL pregame show of all time. correct? So I saw this, I don't know who this person is. Let me find out. Jimmy Traina, writer for SI Now, James. SI Media Podcast. He has, in the last, a little over an hour or so, sent out an X message. CBS will do a throwback edition of the NFL Today in Week 3, James. The legendary Brent Musburger will be in studio for it. So does that mean we're going to get You're Looking Live? That is just outstanding.
I mean, it would almost be disappointing if we didn't get one of those.
Yeah, I would agree. What's so funny about this is that is still vivid in your memory. And hell, I don't even know how they open up now. Any of them. I don't know how any of these open up now. I have more of a memory of how they used to open up on, the NFL on NBC used to do, NFL, whatever year it is. NFL 81. Now, NFL 85. Do you have any good, solid looking do you have anything? You have any intros you can roll right now so we can all hear them?
Well,
can you roll one for me?
I can look it up, but Aaron from Minnesota is chiming in saying he was told Brent would say, "You are looking live," for the gamblers in the audience. Anybody wants to take a bet on that.
That's okay, though, because there was plenty of that going on, too. Hey, if you remember, Jimmy the Greek was on that show, much like Pete Axthelm was on the NBC pregame shows, too, and they went over the odds. Like, I went, I don't know how many years this was. I went so many years, James. They always had offense, defense, coaching, and intangibles. I had zero idea what the hell intangibles meant. I thought it was like a fruit. And what's this intangible stuff? Yeah, see if you can find something from like the late 70s right there.
I've got something from September of 1986.
Let's see what that sounds like. Play it, James.
Giants Stadium in the Meadowlands, where the New York Giants, coming off 2 strong victories in a row, take on the New Orleans Saints, who are off to their usual.
Let's stop just for a second. Go back from the 70s, and I want the entire thing. Oh, because I may just get a Tuesday sports arousal, James, if you hit this bad boy on the mark right here. There's zero better than this. Nothing. And I know I come off as the curmudgeon all the time. Everything in the 80s is better. Everything back in the day is better. You got something for me right here? Let me set it up. What year is this, James? Can you tell me?
This is from CBS NFL intro from 1977.
1977. Enjoy.
Brown 45. Brown 45. Hot, 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 hot.
I'm looking at your video over there. Is Walter Payton jumping over the line for a touchdown?
Someone just got suplexed.
Yeah, all these hits are incredibly illegal right here. That's the other thing, too. Every hit, if you go back to this era, the NFL Today intro, every hit that they show is illegal now. You would like get suspended for the rest of your life.
Oh, every ref would be throwing a flag.
Every one is illegal. Do you have any? Can you go find some? You're Looking Alive from Brent Musburger for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, go back to the late 70s. Every hit that they show in that montage of highlights defensively is illegal nowadays. Every single one. Got him, James?
You are looking live at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio.
You are looking live at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
That's
you
college.
are looking live at the Los Angeles Coliseum. You are looking
This is just a
live
best
at
of
Kinnick
Brent
Stadium in
video.
Iowa City. You are looking live at a sold-out Memorial Stadium in Columbia. You are looking live in the Cavern of Hudson Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. You are looking live at Arizona Stadium in Tucson. You are looking live at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. You are looking live at the University of Phoenix Stadium.
So 4th and a foot.
Oh, this is so good. I stinking love Brent Musburger. I love Brent Musburger for the NFL, for the college call, in football, and in basketball. I love Brent Musburger, the NBA on CBS. The greatest of all time is Brent Musburger, is it not?
Well, I'm not sure who this listener is. He did not leave a name, but he would have, I guess, as you would say, a sports arousal as well from that.
Oh, my goodness. Is that not great?
That was pretty good.
Week 3, Brent Musburger in studio. And CBS will do a throwback edition of the NFL Today. Anybody else struggle with intangibles? I never knew what that meant, and I never looked it up. Hell, I don't know if I had a dictionary. I think I had a World Book Encyclopedia, but that didn't have it in there. Intangibles. It would say offense, defense, coaching, intangibles. I don't know what this intangible stuff is, Greek. Tell me. Like, what's that mean? Intangibles, that's just like home field advantage, I guess.
Well, I Googled the definition, and it's a very helpful definition.
Thank you.
Intangible, not tangible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Well, I thought it was a fruit. I didn't know. Wait a minute. Are you going to be eating fruit or what?
You thinking of a tangerine?
Intangible? No, I think that's great. Absolutely great right there. Terry says, you are looking live at Soldier Field, where the Green Bay Packers will take on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Is that week 3, Terry, right there? Is it the Packers and the Bears at Soldier Field? That's exactly what you're going to get. You're looking live at Soldier Field in Chicago, where Jack Pardee and the Chicago Bears. Yeah, that was great. Seriously, I think we're at a point now where a lot of things have been throwback. I think we're at a point now where if you do that, people are going to be interested. It's like if you buy a bag of Doritos, you buy a bag of Doritos because it's in the throwback bag. I mean, it's the same damn Dorito that's in a different bag, but if you see it taco flavor and the throwback, you're going to get it, aren't you? Is that true? I mean, so all these flavors that they bring back. Jeez, I'm telling you, if somebody ever brings back those cookies called Mini Middles, the whole world will explode.
Well, I think
we can never recover.
I think they need to bring back those old, like the team jackets and stuff that they had back in the 80s and the 90s. I can't remember the name of them.
You want me to wear mine?
You have one?
I have 2 starter jackets of the Kansas City Royals and 1 Chicago Bears starter jacket.
You should absolutely wear
And I
that.
can fit in them now, that's one of the reasons why I have them.
You should absolutely
I may have to get them
wear that.
dry cleaned because they've been in fat boy storage for about 3 decades.
A little bit of dust on them.
There's a little bit of everything on them. There was like old loose change in one pocket. I think it went back to like 1989. But the Kansas City Royals starter jacket, so when you button it up, Royals across the chest, and it has the Kansas City crown and logo on the side. It is awesome. I'm going to dry clean all 3. I'm not going to wear it when it's 90 out, but I will wear those. I've got 3 of them.
You need to make sure you wear one of those on one of your remotes.
Yes, I tell you what, and if somebody has one of these, I want an old school Georgetown Hoya starter jacket. I want an old school Georgetown Hoya starter jacket and then some Georgetown Hoya Nike Dunks from the 80s too. Because you guys remember this, if you're my age, if you rocked that gear, you were automatically a badass. People gave you a wide, hey, wait a minute, that guy's a bad dude right there. If you wore a Georgetown Hoya starter jacket, and you could be the most noticeable pipsqueak of all time. But if you put that gear on, you are automatically a badass.
I'm looking at some of those jackets right now. They're pretty clean. Those are pretty good.
And you got to look up the Hoya shoe. It had Hoyas on the back, the Nike Dunks. You were automatically a bad dude. Didn't matter. Telling you, bring stuff back. People will recognize. Brent Musburger, Week 3, the NFL Today on CBS. That is well done. Quick break. We shall return. Me and you on the other side at 239-1070. The text messages are coming in at 317-239-1070 as well. Inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, and Mike Sando of The Athletic coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yes, of course. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Right. 1, 2, 5. 3, sir. 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Bria, Goss a little bit earlier. The podcast, 1075thefan.com. 7:15 tonight pregame. Wings and Fever at the Fieldhouse. That tip is at 7:30. Mooney from yesterday, Charvarius Ward from the secondary of the Colts was outstanding. Back up for the final day, afternoon in this case, of Colts camp coming up on Thursday. The joint practice with the Packers. I will be there, just me and the Hoverflies. Seriously, the Hoverflies, they were pretty active yesterday. Well, I was hanging out. Have you guys been hanging out with the Hoverflies recently? They're very active. We did get some sad news today, James. Got something for me? I don't hear it. I'm sorry. There it is. Thank you. You guys remember this television show? You may not. It had a run that started in 1976. And then I believe it kind of had a redo of sorts in the 80s. From ABC, it was called What's Happening. Danielle Spencer played Dee, the wisecracking younger sister of Raj, who had friends in Rerun and Dwayne, in this ABC sitcom that I think took place in South Central Los Angeles. But Danielle Spencer got out of acting and then became a veterinarian. And Danielle Spencer passed away. I think it was reported earlier today at the age of 60. R.I.P. Danielle Spencer. And I think how it's described here, the deadpan comedic genius of D. Thomas from the 1970s hit show What's Happening. I said wisecracking, the comedic genius. But the episode that they're showing right now, I think, is an episode where the Doobie Brothers were a part of it. And the emphasis of that episode was the Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald included, played a concert in the high school where the gang attended, and they were prompted by outside resources to illegally tape the concert. It's pretty awesome. Great episode. Danielle Spencer was 60 years old. Dr. Danielle Spencer. So R.I.P. indeed. You guys are all sending me pictures of these satin starters jackets. I will say this. Corey sent me a bunch of them. These are expensive. How much? See, there's the pullover that you also have made by Starter that people love too from back in the day. $132 for the Ranger satin jacket. I wonder if you can find I have two Royals. $132 for the Giants satin jacket. I'm going to tell you what. I'm immediately reminded with this Giants satin starter jacket of when, it's a memory of Roger Craig coming out of the dugout and pulling Atlee Hammaker out of the game. I think Roger Craig wore that more than any other human being, if you remember, the former manager of the San Francisco Giants. Yeah, the Astro satin, that's awesome. See, you think about it, I bet the Rangers and the Mariners would be pretty expensive if you can find them, because there probably were not a lot of them. James, what do you got?
I have found a 90 starter satin bomber jacket for the Pacers that is $300 on eBay.
$300. See if you can find a Royals on there, the Kansas City Royals. Pretty sure mine from the maybe mid-1980s, maybe around 1985. I'm pretty sure I had it when the Royals won the World Series in 85. Yes,
Are you asking for an 80s one or a 90s one?
Give me mine are 80s. I have 2 80s ones.
I'm seeing a couple of the 90s, one on Etsy for $95.
Yeah.
A vintage Kansas City Royals MLB jacket for $240 on eBay.
Okay. So that's I have 2 Royals jackets from the 80s and 1 Bears starters jacket from the 80s. So I'll get those things cleaned up and rock them. They do look outstanding. And thank you. Talking about a throwback starter jacket, here's mine from the 1982 era. This is an old school Oakland A's. This is pretty outstanding right here. It's B.D. Hunt with that. See, I'm looking at this, and I know most people would immediately think of the Ricky Henderson era. I'm thinking about Mitchell Page. And not the one that played at IU. That's outstanding work. JMV, I want all road powder blue uniforms for teams like the Rangers, the Royals to come back. I would agree. All the powder blues always look good. Robbie says a guy with 2 starter jackets definitely has intangibles. I had no idea at the time what it meant, but I did have intangibles without question. Thank you very much. I just didn't know what it meant. Joshua's at 239-1070. Hello, Joshua. How are you?
Hi, JMV.
Hi, Joshua.
I went to the state fair last week. It was good.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I went last Friday. Early in the morning. It was good.
Yes. Did you listen Saturday night, Joshua, when we were live at the state fair?
Yeah.
Good. We have, Joshua, nothing but the 90s coming up on Saturday night. What do you think?
Good. It's going to be good.
Yes, it will. What else you got, buddy?
Not much. I was just sad that Danielle Spencer died.
Yes.
But I remember her when I was young.
Yes, on the hit series on ABC, What's Happening? Were you a fan of Raj, Dwayne, or Rerun?
I think all of them.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. Rerun, I was always told that Rerun could dance, and then when Rerun danced, I thought, well, this guy can't dance a lick. Was I wrong or right about that?
I think you were right.
Hey, Josh, I can't wait to hear from you on Saturday night.
All right, thank you.
You got it. It's Josh calls every Saturday night right out of the gate at 6 o'clock. Always love it. Yeah, so Rerun always danced. There was almost always a segment on What's Happening of Rerun dancing, and everybody always made out like he was this, and the actor's name was Fred Berry. Always made out like he was this great dancer, and I always thought, this guy can't dance a damn lick. You talking about dancing. Yeah, but there's the Doobie Brothers episode. I believe there's a What's Happening episode that was built around the Gong Show. Some good stuff. You've never seen the Gong Show before, James?
Never heard of the Gong Show.
That is quality material. Our world, let's face it, our world was so much better with the Gong Show. Everybody hated Chuck Barris. Have you seen the film A Dangerous Mind? Well,
no.
It's about Chuck Barris?
No, I have not.
You haven't? I believe it was a George Clooney film. But Chuck Barris was supposedly, not only was he a writer, kind of an actor, comedian, and a game show host, a producer, but he was supposedly also a spy.
Really?
True story. You haven't seen that?
I have not.
You haven't heard that story? Great stuff. I love the Gong Show. JMV, everybody had a Kings starter jacket. I'm telling you, the Georgetown Hoya starter jacket was by far the very best of all time. It just automatically meant you're a badass. It's like, wait a minute, that's not JMV walking down the street in that Georgetown Hoyas jacket. That's actually Michael Graham from 1984, and he's got his head shaved, and he's probably going to whip your ass. That's exactly what it was.
So he said he worked for the CIA as an assassin?
As an assassin. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty wild.
It is. You got to see that movie, man. It's good stuff.
Apparently I do.
Yes.
Apparently I got to watch that.
See, I thought that's not that long ago. I think that's, 23 years or so ago? When did A Dangerous Mind come out?
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is 2002.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
Yeah, it's not.
23 or so years ago. Yeah, check that out sometime. Oh, here it is. Thank you. Corey Elliott sent me $132 for this Royals heavyweight satin jacket. See, I think about this, and everybody's going to think about, well, is that George Brett? I think about Dick Hauser. I always think about the managers, because the managers most always were the ones that were rocking these. So I was thinking about the manager at the time that we're wearing. So this reminds me of the late Dick Hauser when I see this. Just like Roger Craig with the Giants when I'm thinking about Roger Craig, the former Giants manager. Mike Sando, he collected thoughts around the NFL from executives, coaches, and coordinators of various quarterbacks, including the two vying for the starting role for the Colts. And you're probably already knowing what is going to be described, and it's not good stuff. But Mike Sando has it. We'll talk to Mike coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Hey, JMV, with all the fever injuries right here, did you ever have a team with significant injuries like what they're going through? Here's what I had in a team. Anybody else have these guys on your team? And they're still my friends. A couple. I mean, they're all my friends, but only a couple that did this. Anybody, and this would obviously be the high school level that I'm talking about here. Did anybody ever have, and again, this probably goes back even further now. I don't know how it's dealt with. I'm assuming that still takes place. Coaches could tell me right now. But we had a couple of friends and teammates that when they wanted to get out of running, and listen, I had to run all the time because my grades sucked. I act like a jackass. I mean, I was like the triple crown of go run some stair laps. That should have been on the back of my uniform. Go run stair laps, because I was always being punished for. That's why I think today running is punishment, because every time I ran, I was being punished. So when we ran, and I wasn't actually being punished when we ran to try to be in shape, did anybody ever have teammates that would complain? And this was, to me, I always felt this was like the universal, hey, I feel a little bit lazy and my ass doesn't feel like running. When you said, I have shin splints. I have shin splints. Shin splints to me meant, yeah, I don't feel like running. You guys all run, and I'm going to go with my shin splints over here and sit down and watch. Anybody else around play with teammates that constantly had shin splints when it was time to run? Whether you're talking about floor lines or if you guys trained with cross country, whatever the regimen was for conditioning, there was always a couple of dudes that complained of shin splints. So that was, I think, the extent of our injury. Now, I did, when I was a sophomore, I've told this story before, I wrecked my car and about killed myself and my point guard. That was problematic. And that was also on me. But shin splints, that was the major issue with us. I am not, there's Tony Katz out in the hallway. Wow. Hey, come in here, buddy. Come here. I've got to hit a break here, but wow. Is this really Tony Katz? What? Hey, hit this mic. I want to talk to Tony really quick. That's Braden over there, Tone. Look at Tony Katz in here.
I got Daniel Jones starting week 1. I just want to say that out loud. Put that right out there. People care what Tony Katz thinks about sports.
That's not happening, man.
It's science.
Hey, did somebody send you a map on how to find this place?
No. What happened was I was just out for a drive and got lost in my own thoughts. I was listening to Christopher Cross, and the next thing you know, here I am.
Good to see you, pal.
Good to see you.
What are you doing? You got a card out there and everything. What's happening?
I had some stuff. Somebody sent me a thing, and I'm like, I can't lift that thing. You're wearing a Christopher Cross shirt, as I said Christopher Cross.
Yes. Oh, I thought you just saw that already.
No, I didn't. No, it's just in my head.
Cool.
Anytime I see you, I think of Yacht Rock.
Yes.
And
sailing comes to mind automatically, right?
And honestly, your hair is starting to look very Max Headroom.
I know.
It's really tall.
Do you like it? I like it tall.
I don't think I get to decide. I think the people should decide.
I think my hair is as tall as yours is slick back.
It's in one place. It won't move, but it's not slick back.
That's kind of pompadourish you got there.
You think?
I do.
I was thinking about getting some pomade and just going full on into it. It's either that or the man bun. There's a big man here.
Oh, I know. James has got the man bun right there.
Totally
hey, what's on the big show in the morning? What's Carl cobbled together for you in the show tomorrow?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Don't people listen to you so there's no politics whatsoever?
You can tell people, but we're friends, though. They know that we're friends.
Yeah, I understand. And thank goodness, by the way. But they want to just be out of that
They are completely out of it right now.
That's what we're looking for.
That's okay. Cross-promote. That's what we do.
Oh, look at you.
That's okay.
I think the big story is what Trump is doing with D.C. and this idea of federalizing, which is allowed in the district, and how this is going to kind of permeate through states. And will you see states that have cities that aren't working and say, we're going to take this over. I think that's growing day by day. And then, of course, Trump and Putin are meeting on Friday.
Hey, man, that's the first time any of that's ever been mentioned between 3 and 6 on this show right here. You just broke new ground. It's almost like you need to, it's like landing on the moon and taking the first steps on the moon in this room right here.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Daniel Jones, week 1. Write it down.
Tony Katz, everybody, friend of the show. Thanks, Tone. Good to see you, pal. Tony Katz in studio. Mike Sando of The Athletic coming up after 5. Don't go anywhere.
You got a panty on your head. Just drive fast, okay?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, crank this up. The late, great Luther Vandross debut studio album. The title track 44 years ago today, James, Never Too Much. This has now become another classic yacht rock song. You wouldn't normally think about Luther Vandross being yacht rock, but this song is definitely yacht rock. A little bit more. I got to hear a little bit more. I got to hear the start here with Luther Vandross and Never Too Much on B105.7. God, I love Luther Vandross. So I was watching Eddie Murphy Delirious the other day, which most of his stand-up set from 1983, which is absolutely glorious, would not fly at all, right? But when he does his impression of Luther Vandross, it absolutely slays me. I think that Delirious from Eddie Murphy is arguably the greatest stand-up we have seen of all time. Now, you know me, that I'm hardcore and always will be Richard Pryor. I love Live on Sunset Strip. I love Here and Now. I love Live in Concert. But Eddie Murphy Delirious is right up there with the all-time greats. And it's really about 35 seconds when he mentions Luther Vandross. It's glorious. Just watched that the other night, matter of fact. All right, Mike Sando is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour from The Athletic. A lot of stuff there as far as him gauging executives, coaches, and coordinators in the NFL. But the quarterback positions, going to be interesting what he has to say about that. You also heard Jake talk about Greg Rakestraw's in for him tomorrow. And we're going to be live 3 hours with Greg, noon until 3, and then 3 hours with me, 3 until 6 at the Indiana State Fair. Little horse racing coming at you tomorrow afternoon. Listen, it is going to be absolutely outstanding. Tony Renz is a part of it. You know that to be true. The Midwest Standardbred horse racing, we'll be talking that up with our good friend Tony Renz tomorrow. I'm sure of that. Now, all that at the Indiana State Fair. And in fact, that'll be my second time out there. I was out there on Saturday night, back out there again coming up tomorrow. Can't wait. And then back at Colts camp, that is on Thursday, the joint practice with the Packers and me on Thursday afternoon. Cannot wait to see you. It's from Dave, JMV. I was just talking about the Reds satin starter jacket. I had one from the 1970s like Sparky Anderson wore night in and night out. I love that jacket. Sparky Anderson wore his on that episode of WKRP in Cincinnati. You remember correctly. JMV. This is a shout out to the Keebler team. What do we need to do to bring these back? This is from Cole, who, like many others out there, I mentioned old school stuff always works. Throwbacks, retro, Brent Musburger, Week 3, NFL Today on CBS, throwback. That is going to work spectacularly. Basically, all throwback things work. This is one that everybody talks about. I believe from the 1990s, the early 90s, mini middles. The small cookies where you would get chocolate chip, but there's also a burst of chocolate inside. And this is Cole's plea to Keebler USA of bringing back many middles. Shout out to you. Jay Ryan says, JMV, I need some old school Zubaz pants to pair that up with my starter jacket. I am going to rock. I have 2 Kansas City Royals satin starter jackets and 1 Chicago Bears satin starter jacket from the 1980s. We will rock them just for you. I got to get them dry cleaned first. They've been in the fat boy closet for a while. We'll dust them off and get them going. At JMV, completely agree regarding the quarterback situation of the Colts. I think that it is still going to be Richardson. I think more of this Daniel Jones stuff is just a push. James, go ahead.
On the quarterback competition, actually, we had somebody text in to the text line, 317-239-1070, wanted to get your opinion on if they go with Daniel Jones, do you think they're going to trade Richardson to collect some draft capital?
They will not. They're going to ride this thing out until it all comes to a halt at the end of this year. And that's been my opinion of it. And you know me, I've been ready to pull the plug on this for a while. But it's been clear that's just not what was going to be done with the Colts, and everything basically but the defensive coordinator they decided to re-rack. And it hasn't worked up until then, and I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to work now. But to me, you're going to see Richardson start. You're going to see Jones at some point because Richardson will be injured or ineffective. Now, I know that doesn't hold out much hope, but that's just until you see something that is different, that's exactly how I would assume most of you will feel. It's not a slap rock attitude or a negative attitude. It's just going by what we have seen. I hope that it's all different because if there is a group out there that deserves much better finally from an organization, that is you from the Colts. You deserve that. That's what the Pacers have given you for the past 2 years. You deserve that finally from the Colts. Believe me, the AFC South, not a lot to write home about there. Be great to see the Colts do it and finally turn this around and give you a little magic like we've seen with the Pacers in the past 2 years. Do I expect it? No. 239-1070 is the number. Bill is up next here in the 5 o'clock hour. Hello, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing great because I'm thinking of Gene, the dancing machine.
Fantastic.
From the Gong Show.
J.P. Morgan, Jamie Farr. Do you remember when I had Jamie Farr on this show once? Because he was one of those recurring panelists that was a part of the Gong Show. And it was an epic conversation. Because he talked about MASH and Cannonball Run, his friendship with Burt Reynolds, but the Gong Show portion of it probably was the most entertaining.
Always loved the show, and yeah, he was great on that. And Chuck Barris was great at doing. He would announce the act, and then he was great at doing the transition while the act went through the curtains and everything and started to perform.
His dancing stuff was out. I love when he was over there dancing with the band. That was great stuff, man.
That was a fantastic show. But and I wanted to ask you about Riley Leonard.
Yes.
How much of a shot should he get during the preseason? How much playing time should he get? Because quite frankly, I think that Riley Leonard is the next Jim Harbaugh.
Do you really? Why would you think that? Just out of curiosity.
When I saw him push when he did the push during that exhibition game, it reminded me of something like Harbaugh would do. I remember Harbaugh would always sacrifice his body and had some toughness in there. And I don't know. I look at Riley Leonard and I think that he's kind of from that same ilk and winning program, winning quarterback. I think he deserves a shot to see what he's got.
Yeah, listen, unless there are massive injuries at the top here with these two quarterbacks, it's just not going to be Bill in play this year. I'm not suggesting anybody ever write him off, but especially here because, it seems like everybody always ends up getting some clock and getting some time and getting a series at some point. But, this year it's about these two And I think you would probably have to go through a complete and utter cluster, to see Riley Leonard for an extended period of time whatsoever in this regular season.
Man, that's probably the way it's going to be. Hey, man, have a great time at the State Fair tomorrow.
Hey, by the way, too, I don't know, have you been talking to Mike Manley? I got a text from Mike Manley of Manley's Irish Mutt at 10th and Shadeland saying how much we talk about him and how much he appreciates that. So I don't know when you're going to go over there again, Bill. I know that we're going to have a show over there here in the not-so-distant future, but make sure you tell Mike and the gang over there how much we miss him and how much we love him. One of our favorite places right there.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell him in the next 30 minutes.
How about that? Thanks, Billy.
Talk to you later.
JMV, I had a Dallas Cowboys starter winter coat. It was black. It kept it for 25 years, then donated it to the Indy Shelter years ago. Thank you, Chris. I have all three of my starter jackets. I will say this, that pullover, and especially the one that I mentioned that Corey Elliott had sent to me on X, the Eagles pullover, remember the starter pullover? Those are so popular, and especially with that Eagles team. I want to say that's when Buddy Ryan was the head coach, and most notably, you remember the Eagles defensive players wearing those, whether it was Reggie White in those moments back then, or the late Jerome Brown, or Seth Joyner, Eric Allen. I immediately, when I think of those Eagles pullovers, think about the Eagles defensive players rocking those. Joseph Fenton Faust checks in your opinion, what is worst-case scenario for the Colts this season? I think worst case is they finish 10-7, make it to the postseason as a wild card with a mediocre quarterback play, and Ballard keeps his job. They re-up with Richardson and stay stuck in purgatory. I will say this, it's going to have to be better than kind of I would view that, and again, just guessing how it might go, you don't move forward with a back end situation. You have to see something that has more than just this season written on it. Does that make sense, Joseph? And I think that's fair. You have to see more than just this season. I know a lot of you are immediately, and especially if you're pro Daniel Jones right now, are going to say, well, remember a year ago with Sam Darnold in Minnesota and, what that did and how they felt there, and clearly they've doubled back now to J.J. McCarthy. But I think that here it has to be more, and there's going to be, let's just say, for example, if they're 10-7, Joseph, like what you say, let's say they make the postseason. I think it's going to have to be more than just kind of a flash or good luck or good fortune. It's just got to be something more that you get, because this does still kind of keep you in that slow motion treadmill situation. And I don't think that's unfair. I think there's been a long period of time to where maybe there should be more of a call of wanting more than just what we have witnessed. No, I can't deny, Joseph, that's also a part of purgatory that we're talking about there. Thank you, Joseph, for that. Hey, listen, making the postseason and giving fans around here something like that would be great, but it has to be more than just a vision of this year and the end of this year, doesn't it? Doesn't it have to be something that you believe also can be put together for the maybe not distant future, the short-term future, I probably should say. Maybe more than just a year. I think that's fair. Ike's up next. Line 3 at 239-1070. Ike, welcome back to the show, pal. How are you?
Good. How are you, JMV?
Great, Ike. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm driving home, and you were talking about shin splints. Had me cracking up. I graduated in the mid-'90s. All sorts of kids falling out of practice with shin splints. Probably with the specialization in sports and all the athletic classes kids take, has taken care of that. But the fact that kids today don't know what shin splints are might be one of the greatest medical marvels since polio was eradicated.
And let me tell you, so shin splints, there's a complete cure for them, right? Because you never hear about them anymore.
That's right. I think they've been totally eradicated. The media's totally missed the storyline, and I appreciate you bringing it to the forefront.
Did you as a high school athlete ever look around and have a teammate that sat out the running drills because of shin splints, and you guys were all pissed? Because that happened to me all the time.
Oh, yeah. It ticked me off. And, you knew they were full of it, and you knew who was going to pull it in every sport, every year. I mean, it was like clockwork.
Yes. I got shin splints. I go, because, I would know because I constantly had to run. You couldn't really tell by how I looked, but I constantly had to run because I got punished all the time. I was always getting punished. Hey, you got to run this, run those stairs, run there, run the cross-country course, run here, hey, run down run home, whatever. And I was always running, but there were a couple of teammates that never ran anywhere because they always had shin splints. So I'm glad that we have found a cure for the shin splints. That's good.
You have a good one.
All right, thank you very much. If you did not grow up like I grew up or like I grew up, you have no real feel for what it was like having teammates that consistently complained of shin splints. Can you look up shin splints, by the way? What is the medical definition of shin splints? He said they've been eradicated, and I'd never hear about them anymore. Can you give me the definition, James, of shin splints?
Shin splints, medically known as medial tibial stress syndrome, refer to pain along the inner edge of the shin bone, the tibia, caused by inflammation of the muscles, tendons, and tissues around the bone.
See, we had a different definition at Eastern Green. It was, I'm a big wussy and I don't feel like running. Is that on there anywhere?
No. Was that the medical term back in the day?
I'm a big wussy and I don't feel like running. I feel like getting out of this running drill. I have shin splints. Is there anybody ever that had shin splints that actually had shin splints? Actually had what's being described there?
Medial tibial stress syndrome?
Yes. I don't think anybody had medial tibial stress syndrome. I just think you wanted to get out of running. Shin splints. That's pretty funny. That's our era in a nutshell right there. Hey, people are asking if we're going to do fantasy football this year. Are we thinking about that again?
I have actually kind of set the draft. It's still kind of floating. We can change the day if we want, but I've already kind of started setting up the league and kind of getting prepped for that.
All right, then. So that answers the question. Indeed, we will be back in the world of fantasy football this year. Todd's up next at 239-1070. Todd, did you ever complain of shin splints while in high school?
Well, and I think wussy's the PG version of
yes,
that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I might get there are a lot of things I say I probably would get in a bit of trouble if I said the other thing. Yeah, probably.
So everything now is buckled into one category. It's the lower body tissue issues. Okay, everything's lumped into one category now.
Right.
And it was odd about that is I was all set to on Sunday to be at Sid's and then head over to Stony Creek Estates after the SIDS event, and I had a lower body tissue issue with my.
That's a hell of an excuse right there. Yes.
IT band on my left leg, and so.
You know how many dates complained of shin splints while I was in high school just because they didn't want to go out with me? Yeah, I've got shin splints. We can't go to Chi-Chi's. Crap.
Yeah. Over under 20, I'd say.
Awesome.
So, you were talking about the Colts record and whatnot. This Miami game, if they lose this game to Miami, I'm telling you, they're probably an 8-9 or a best of 9-8 team. And
I can see that.
Have we labeled the Miami game yet?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I actually had must win both that and Denver out of the gate. Because, and Rick Ventura and I talked about this yesterday. I mean, at some point, you got to shake loose out of this losing, to start the season. You've got an opportunity with two so-called maybe AFC reps at the tail end of the postseason. That playoff pileup at the end of the year. I mean, these are must-win to me. So I don't feel at all a lack of comfort in saying that. And just there are games that are these two to start the season are going to, I think, as we look further down the road, going to play out as important as most of the other ones.
And here's another one, the game in Europe. I think we historically don't again, I'm trying to go to your
well, they played they beat New England in Europe, right? In Germany and Frankfurt, and they were an absolute mess when I went to London in 2016 against Jacksonville. Yeah.
But historically, look at their games in Europe. I mean, we just do not come, and so that's a winnable game on paper, but I don't know how we travel across whatever it is, 7 time zones or what.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know what it is. I mean, there's a lot of question mark games. That's what makes this game 1 so important, because I think honestly you're looking at an 8-9 season if you lose game 1.
Hey, Todd, you don't have to at all sell me on this philosophy, because I completely agree with it. Just how important both of those games are at the beginning. All right, hey, no more shin splints. Make sure you get out when we get things started, especially Mystic Waters. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get the lower body tissue issue resolved.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Quick break. We'll come back. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. And Mike Sando of The Athletic's going to join us coming up on the other side. Sit tight. You're going to want to hear this, I promise. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, tomorrow at the Indiana State Fair, I'll explain coming up. Joint practice with the Packers at the Colts on Thursday, Westfield at Grant Park. I will be there. Yesterday, if you missed, Mooney and I, the Charvarius Award, the free agent acquisition. Colts secondary picked off Anthony Richardson yesterday. Joined us on the show afterwards, podcast 1075thefan.com. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from The Athletic has an interesting story regarding the opinions of coaches and executives in the NFL on certain players, including Colts quarterbacks. Mike Sando joins us now on the show. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. Are there going to be many surprised Colts fans on the reactions or the quotes you receive from some of these executives and the coaches about the Colts quarterback situation?
I don't think so. I mean, I think everyone knows what the situation is. And, it's a tough situation, right? I mean, they had really high hopes, took a flyer on, a very raw prospect in Anthony Richardson, and it's been tough sailing. So, that's reflected in the evaluations. I think there's, you wouldn't expect people to be super optimistic.
So it was overwhelming that most that you talked to felt that Daniel Jones will be the week one starter?
Yes. He has, shown a basic understanding of running an offense and how to practice, how to carry himself, just professional. Those are areas where Anthony Richardson is green, and so it'd be more likely that Daniel Jones would be ready to give the Colts a better chance to win week to week, even though Anthony Richardson's best plays will be 10 times better than the best plays of Daniel Jones.
So Mike Sando of The Athletic talks NFL, covers the NFL. His latest articles we're talking about right now is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So you yourself, do you feel, and maybe you can add into some of the thoughts of those that you gauged on this too, that they feel things could be different for Daniel Jones with a change of landscape and a change of personnel from where he was initially? Obviously, he had that stopover in Minnesota, but the change in personnel from the Giants to what the Colts presently have.
I agree with that. I think New York's a very difficult place for anybody in a leadership role, and it's just not for everybody. And if you look at, just with the Jets and Sam Darnold and Geno Smith are two guys that have gone on to, we'll see if Darnold can sustain it, but looked pretty good last year, and then Geno Smith's kind of been reborn, right? Now, that doesn't just happen. You have to be able to stick with it yourself and keep working at it. But I think Daniel Jones' odds of, playing better probably go up with the Colts relative to the Giants. An easier place, just about every place is an easier place than New York.
Do you think this Colts team can be a playoff team with Daniel Jones at quarterback?
I think that's unlikely in the AFC with, probably with C.J. Stroud in the division. And I know they've played them tough, but I think it's probably unlikely. If I had to bet everything I have on make it or not, I'd probably bet not. Doesn't mean they can't, but I think it'll be a little tough.
Now, those that you gauge, the executives and coaches around the NFL, Mike Sando of The Athletic joins us. Did they feel that Anthony Richardson ever evolves into the type of player that the Colts and some others around the NFL felt he could be coming out of Florida?
I think no, they feel that it won't happen. I think never's a long time, but you would hope that you would see, just that he even knows how to really work at it. And I don't know that people think that he does.
How much of that, based on the criteria of their responses here, had to do with a year ago. And the tap out and then the ultimate benching to kind of help him realize this is the level of work that you have to do. How much did that, you think, play a role with those that you gauged?
I think it played a big role. I think it's emblematic. If it was something totally inconsistent with the rest of what you think, then maybe it would be discounted a little bit. But I think people feel like it's part of the package that comes with him not being ready for this role. And so, yes, I think that's a tough one. One of the coaches I quoted in there said that, hey, tough to overcome. If you can, more power to you. That's sort of a way of saying, I don't know that you can, right?
Yeah. Now, you look at the rest of the AFC South. This is just me to you wanting your opinion. I think that I really don't care who the quarterback is. I think the South is in a position to where at least somebody could get you at a competitive level. Do you think the Colts can be that, or within their own division? Yeah. I mean, obviously with the rest of the landscape of the AFC, that's going to be difficult. But can they compete at least in their own division with either guy?
Yeah, I think they've shown that. Not about with either guy, but I think they need some consistency, a little bit more consistency at the position. And Jones can probably do that a little bit better. Maybe it's a combination of the two. I think there's unknown in Jacksonville, where Trevor Lawrence has probably shown us he's not going to be an elite quarterback. But I feel like, Lawrence with a little bit better offense could be probably better at quarterback than what the Colts are going to have. I think that for sure, not only their quarterback, but they have a pretty good team. I think defensively. I think their coach defensively has got them going. So, I don't think Tennessee. I think Tennessee's a ways away. But you could pick a tougher division to be in.
So Mike Sando of The Athletic, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, when's the last time, and until further notice, this is just who he is, but when's the last time that you had somebody that was that freakishly athletic, but also possessed like the triple crown of what it takes not to make it in the NFL, from decision-making to accuracy or lack thereof to the lack of availability? I mean, you get somebody that looks like, just an incredible athlete that you can't help yourself, but those three categories will prove every single time, no matter who you are, to undermine you. When's the last time we saw somebody that's comparable to that?
Yeah, that's overcome that. Yeah, great question. It's probably a good research question, but I'm going to say I don't know that that's happened. I mean, I think it's been difficult for people that struggle with accuracy to get better, and we've seen a couple guys do it. Jalen Hurts, I think Josh Allen to some extent have become more, more accurate passers over the course of their careers. But when you're super inaccurate, it's difficult to fix, and it's really hard to fix in the heat of battle. You tend to revert, under pressure to your baseline a little bit. And, it's hard. There's also not a lot of developmental time. There's not a developmental league. There's not a lot of reps if you're a backup. You just sort of get thrown into the fire at quarterback in this league, and that's difficult.
I think about this all the time. I think just how athletic you are plays a role, because things up until so many different points or benchmarks in your career, and a very young career at that, I mean, hell, but they've been so easy. And so easily, you can overcome things because of your just simple, raw athleticism. And then you get to the point to where that no longer is commonplace as an option, and you get stuck. And I think that is part of the reason why we find him stuck in this position.
Totally agree. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat, but I totally agree. And
here, I tell you what, go ahead and cough that out right here. Mike Sando from The Athletic is on the Andy Moore Automotive guy. I can't have anybody choking out on the show right here, Mike, so I want to make sure you're okay before you come back on to The Athletic. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. All right, now continue.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I don't think he has shown that he has right now the maturity to work through those, to overcome that, to work through that. So it's almost unfair to put him in that position. But they got exactly what a lot of people thought they were getting.
Yeah. Well, and when you look back at that particular draft, do you blame them at all? I'm just curious because we go through this conversation all the time or this debate all the time, considering, Stroud and then, everybody, thought about Levis at that time and the group of quarterbacks. Do you blame them for taking that shot or, hindsight's always going to be 20/20 and you go, oh, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. But at that moment, did you agree with the path that they were taking, Mike?
No, I didn't. I thought too speculative as a player. Now it's easy for me to say I wasn't sitting there. I think they never would have taken him if they weren't in the predicament they were in at the quarterback position with so much, going through so many different guys. It's just not. It's a decision born of desperation. So the next pick in the draft was Witherspoon, the corner, who's a fantastic player for Seattle. What did the Colts go spend on in free agency this year? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
They could have had a way better player.
Yeah.
Way better player. Now they would have had to have they were tired of going that route of the Matt Ryans, and I get it. But you have to still make the best possible decision, and this was a total gamble.
I think about there being, Mike, a couple of different situations over the years at that position, and everybody always reverts back. Ultimately, you can go back to the decision on Manning, because then you had Luck, and we all knew the high level, the elite level talent of Luck, but you just didn't know that he really wasn't going to be in it for the long haul, as it turned out to be. And, the dynamic of 2 weeks before the start of that season and bailing in the fashion in which he did set the pace for this. But I also look at, a non-year two for Phillip Rivers when they had hoped you were going to get at least 2 years out of him because year one was fine. You didn't get a year or two. He decided to retire. And how about the last two games in the Carson Wentz season? Because you go back to that Christmas night game where he looked so good in Arizona against Phoenix, and they won that game, and, everybody was thinking, they were looking as good as anybody at that moment. And then the Raiders at home and Jacksonville, where everything kind of came undone, those are two, I think, significant situations to where had things worked out differently, maybe all of what we're going through right now never would have happened.
I agree. It feels like a slow motion crash. It just feels like what could have been. It's just a chain reaction of what could have been. And I think Chris Ballard has said that. Everyone knows how it just feels like it's gone off the rails at various times with the best intentions and with upside to have been better than it was. It's just unfortunate.
So Mike Sando has got the article gauging the thoughts of executives and coaches around the NFL, and as you would care about here as it pertains to the quarterback situation with the Colts. Mike Sando of the Athletics on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm just happy we didn't have to perform the Heimlich on you during this interview. I feel good about that.
Yeah, I recovered. I was able to recover. So maybe there is hope. Maybe there's hope for the Colts to recover too.
That's well done, man. I appreciate you more than you know. Thanks for hopping on here.
Okay, thank you.
So Mike Sando of the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I've never asked a question before where I felt compelled to see if somebody around Mike could give him the Heimlich maneuver, because my man was going downhill in a big ass hurry right there, wasn't he? The Governor's Cup Harness Race Championship tomorrow. I'm going to be at the Indiana State Fair, the Indiana Standardbred Breed Development Association. I'm going to be there from 3 until 6. Would you like to join? I think that would be swell. We'll come back, give you a little insight on that, maybe a couple more calls, and close it out on a Tuesday. Coming up next, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
car, and the only thing I listen to is JMV.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, the legend, Reb Porter right there. That's awesome. Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. 50 in betting, 50 in dining to Gary Hampton Jr. And Karana was the horse. $5.80 on a $2 bet. I actually went to the bathroom during this, so my apologies. $5.80 on a $2 bet. Small bladder day. Can't help it. $2 exacta was $61.80, and the 50-cent trifecta went for $49.75. That's your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. Gary Hampton Jr. 50 in betting, 50 in dining from Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino. That is in Anderson. That'd be a great horse name, too, Small Bladder. I hate it, man, when I pack my small bladder. Hey, tomorrow, the Governor's Cup Harness Racing Championship. We're going to be at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. I know Greg Rakestraw is in for Jake from noon until 3, and then I'm out there from 3 until 6. Come see me at the Governor's Cup Harness Racing Championship. Yes.
What's a better horse name, Small Bladder or Shin Splints?
Shin Splints. I don't know if anybody would go with the Shin Splints one.
Might not make a great horse name.
That would be bad. Small Bladder. I know that our good friend BT Dew once, this is an old Laney, my daughter quote, from Drop Off Line Sports, once won a horse named Shushy Shush. Shout out to Lane. That's pretty awesome. That's tomorrow at the Indiana State Fair. I would absolutely be thrilled. Be thrilled to see you out there. Bill's at 239-1070. Hello, Bill.
Hey.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, how are you? I enjoy your shows.
Bill,
so
that's
much.
great. Thank you very much.
It makes the driving traffic bearable.
Man, that's great. You know, I think you may be the only person that actually has ever said that. Normally it's,
right.
Man, this makes the drive even worse listening to this jackass. But thank you, Bill.
Well, I really enjoyed the interview you just had with the writer from where's he from again?
He's from The Athletic. I was worried about him choking out, so I'm good that he didn't do that. So, yeah, Mike Sando from The Athletic.
Yeah, I've done that before, too, choked out on the phone. But when you asked him the question about the quarterback, you know, with all those, you know, athletic attributes, I'm afraid that a light bulb came on for me, and it's like it reminded me of the guy the Raiders drafted from LSU. DeMarcus Russell, was that his name?
Yeah.
Like,
I think.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell. I think a lot of people have made that comparison in the past as well. So I just think that Anthony Richardson, his athleticism, has probably played a role against him because things, athletically speaking, at times came so easy for him. So that's just a theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's a theory. Bill, anything else, my friend?
Oh, no, just enjoy the show so much, and I hope you stay on forever, guy.
Thank you very much. Well, I may live forever, and I'll tell you this, even if I die tomorrow, you know what I'm going to do, James? I'm going to come back and host this show and haunt everybody's ass.
Then you'll go and play some hoop.
And I'm going to go haunt them, too, like on a Tuesday night tonight. Hey, get Fulton on here really quick. Fulton, do you have your sunglasses on?
Hey, how are you, John?
How you doing, Fulton? Do you have your sunglasses on?
Great. Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yep, I sure do.
I know. Somebody's waving at me right in there. Go ahead, buddy.
I just want to say thank you for letting me come to the show on Saturday night.
Well, I had a good time with you, as always, and seeing your mom. That was cool.
Yeah, and get ready for the Colts game this Saturday because I'll be here.
Well, I'll see you down in Touchdown Town, okay, buddy?
Sounds great, John.
That's our good friend Fulton. James, he was at the JMV takeover at the State Fair on Saturday. He and his mom.
I heard he had his sunglasses on.
He put his sunglasses on when he went on the air. Hey, by the way, the State Fair tomorrow. This reminder, Thursday at the State Fair, AAA members get in free. AAA members on Thursday get in free. Tomorrow with me at the State Fair. The Governor's Cup Harness Racing Championship. I'll be there tomorrow at 3. I'll see you there.